am inspired by him, somebody I look up to in the industry. And I'm inspired by his story. I'm inspired by how he became a designer and how he rose as a designer and what he did to do that. Like, I find it incredibly interesting, and it makes me realize that, you know, that sort of hard work and persistence will always pay off, you know, using your head right as well, being kind to others, for example.
Right. What's cracking? Luke, you there, brother?
I'm here, man. I'm here. How are we doing, my
dude?
Good
Good.
to see you. Hope everyone in chat's doing good as well. Absolute pleasure to be here.
Definitely. Glad to have you finally. So Luke and I have talked about this for a while, doing a podcast together. So anyway, guys, this is Luke, aka DeadWeightDesign. If you don't already know him, Luke, go ahead and introduce yourself. Give us a little bit of background.
As Matt's already said. Sure, as Matt's already said, my name's Luke. My brand name is DeadWeightDesign. I do a lot of graphic design and illustration for gamers and streamers. I focus a lot on, like, a lot of the work I produce, like, on stream and for, like, YouTube and things like that is very, like, fan art illustration based. But I generally port that across to my graphic design work as well. Been a graphic designer for just over 10 years now, and I've always loved illustrating, but I've been doing that a little less. I mean, I've always doodled, I've always drawn since I was a kid, but it was only because of COVID that I decided to merge the two and start to do a little something with it, you know?
Right. For those of you who don't know, who hasn't stopped in a stream, check him out, twitch.tv/DeadWeightDesign. He gets really involved in his community. One reason I like to stop in there a lot, he's always doing some really nerdy stuff. So if you're into, like, Star Wars or, I don't know, World of Warcraft, what's some other really good illustrations that even my wife is a huge Snow White fan. And I pop into chat one day and he's doing a Snow White illustration. So do yourself a favor, go check him out, twitch.tv/DeadWeightDesign, super solid illustrator. He's definitely always teaching people, at least I have a lot of questions because I'm not an illustrator. So I ask him a lot of the time, what should I do? How should I start this? How should I do this? But yeah, definitely knowledgeable dude. But, so Luke and I kind of have a similar story. He's been a designer for about 10 years. We both worked for some companies doing graphic design work. We both started streaming, I think, within the same week, right, Luke? I think you and I started
days, mate.
Within days we started streaming on Twitch. So yeah, we've been following each other for about probably 11 months now. But anyway, the point of today's show.
You got a follow since command?
A what? Oh yeah.
Follow since
or exclamation followage. Yeah, let's type that in the chat.
Let's have a look. See how long I've been following you now.
Yeah. For those of you listening,
11 months and 7 days.
Yeah, for those of you listening on Spotify, we got 11 months, 7 days, and 6 hours. So yeah, we're kind of best friends now. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, besties, man.
Yeah.
Besties.
So the point of today's show is we're going to talk a little bit about how we stay inspired. What inspires us to push ourselves to do new designs, what inspires us to learn and keep creating content, and pretty much inspiration. Camera Tim, how we doing? What's cracking, brother? So, we kind of went over a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about your background, Luke, your design background, and some jobs you've had in the past.
Sure, man. So I was, like I said before, I've doodled and I've drawn since I was a young child, since I was a kid. And when I was at school, I didn't, I still drew in my free time. I wanted to take art, And the advice my parents gave me, I always joke about. I joke about to them about this now, but they always like, don't take art. It's not a viable career choice. Take a language.
You're going nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So I took Spanish and I basically failed it.
Yeah.
But then after all of that, and after I studied, later on, and I was just working part-time at a convenience store, and a family friend worked at an advertising agency in London, and he said, we got a position going as an assistant to the head of creative, which was him, and creative production. So I took that, and I was in this advertising agency. I was surrounded by graphic designers and advertisers and all illustrators, and it fascinated me. And once I'd left there, I was there for about 6 months, maybe 4 or 6 months. And once I left there, I went straight into study graphic design, and threw myself straight into a university course. Absolutely loved every second of that. While I was studying, I was lucky enough to pick up a few part-time design jobs, one of which was a 3D development and game design company called AI Solve. And the reason they had me and a friend in, and the reason they had us in, was they were creating a children's supermarket experience in Dubai, and they needed designers to create.
That's interesting.
Brands.
Yeah,
it was completely random, man, but it was pretty cool. We had to create these fake brands and labels for these products that these kids would be picking up and taking to checkout, and so that was an experience. That was like my first experience of like
right
fake brands. And
what are some of the brands? And did you guys have to like work with a marketing department on like what kids are like attracted to? Was it like different sort of branding than you would see?
Yeah, there was no marketing department in that. It was just like they were used to like most of their permanent staff were like 3D developers for like games and stuff. So,
right.
In terms of like the graphic design department, that was just me and my mate there part time.
Okay,
uni,
right.
And like, so we were just sat there. We were just told, we need labels for soup, like tomato soup or something.
Okay.
We were like, okay, and then we'd like go and we'd start like drawing fucking. Oh, sorry, I don't know about swearing.
Oh, you can say whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a shit.
We were like drawing tomatoes in Adobe Illustrator and like ketchup bowls and shit, and like posting them all on these labels, and like it was creative freedom. It was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But that obviously was only part time, and once I left university, I was no longer working there. That was probably about 6 months worth of work on a couple of occasions.
Right.
And then I left and I got my first job. I graduated and I was lucky enough. I got my first job at a company called Hypro International. And I worked with a lot of famous brands while I was there. Like, you're looking at like a lot of the English football clubs like Man U, Man City, Liverpool Football Club.
So I'm a little uneducated. Does man mean Manchester?
Manchester.
Okay.
So Manchester. Yeah. So one of my favorite products I created there, because they had a few departments, and that was the sports department. Like, we actually were lucky enough. I was lucky enough to be part of working on the Euro 2016, 2014. There was a Euro Cup one year.
Right.
And I produced some of the design work for the merchandise. And one of my favorite products was a football. So we'd have to come up with unique designs to go on the net packaging for football.
Okay.
And I remember
a soccer ball.
At the company. A soccer ball, yeah.
I'm just kidding. As
you Americans would call it,
Yeah.
But I don't know why you don't call it,
I don't either. I never understood that, to be honest. It makes sense. I mean, a football. Yeah. I'm not a sports person. I grew up watching a little bit of sports, but when I first heard that other countries called it football, and I was like, wait a minute, that actually kind of makes more sense than us calling our football. Beasto, how you doing? Jabba, how you doing? What's cracking, guys? Welcome in. So that's interesting. It sounds like you got a little bit of your first inspiration there even before you went to university from, you mentioned you were surrounded by some people that were doing some art and some design.
Yeah. So that's what did it, man. Like, because I was already an arty person. I was already a creative person.
Mm-hmm.
And being surrounded, thrown into an environment, a professional environment, surrounded by people who are making a living doing design work and even, photography and video editing. I met some really cool people, and it was incredibly inspiring.
Right.
So that's kind of what made me realize that is what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, the perks of working at an advertising agency are always good. Like, usually they're always good. And
right.
I was lucky enough to be part of a team that was working on, I'm not sure if you've heard of Diageo as a company.
I don't think I have, no.
So they're a massive drinks brand, and
is it like a UK thing?
Smirnoff.
Oh, okay. I've heard of Smirnoff.
Thing. So they incorporate Smirnoff is under their belt basically as one of their brands. And
right.
I happened to be there when they were working on this. Do you remember the Smirnoff nightlife exchange that went on like back in like 2012, 2011, 2012? It might have even been 2010.
I can't. I couldn't even recall. Real quick, Bisto, thank you so much for the 7 months. I appreciate you. Bisto, have you heard of? You're from the UK as well. Do you know what he's speaking about?
It's gravy.
Diageo.
Bisto.
Yeah.
Bisto. It's like
Bisto. It's Bisto. I've been saying it wrong this whole time.
Gravy, man. It's granules.
Bisto.
Yeah. That's
okay.
The one, man. Although maybe if you're saying his name like that, it might come across a little sensual, but that's the advert for the gravy.
Right. It's actually her name.
Her name. Sorry,
yeah.
Apologies.
I shouldn't even say that. I don't even know what to do these days anymore. I don't know if I should correct you or not. I don't know what's politically correct, but either way, Bisto, thank you for the 7 months. I appreciate you so much. So it sounds like you got a little bit of university background, which is something I don't have. A lot of people ask me, did you go to design school or did you go to school for what you do? No, I learned everything online, and that's why I think I want to become a content creator so bad, is because I've learned so much from the community. I want to be that guy who kind of gives back in the same way that I was taught.
No, I can get that, man.
So, university to learning stuff on your own, what would you say your ratio? Do you think you're like 80% of what you learn in university and the other 20% is self-taught, or what do you think about that?
Well, that's a difficult question because the industry is evolving like constantly. So
right.
I find the education's if you like. Okay, so here's my stance on education. I've heard somebody else say something very similar before, and I'm not sure if it was Gary V or somebody else to follow, but they were basically saying, there's always like two sides, and there's people who are like, education, you don't need it, don't get yourself in debt, and there's the other side, and there's like, education's good for you, and I'm like, I'm in the middle. I think if you can afford to get the education, if it's not going to put you in like a crippling
massive debt
situation, then do it, because you're still learning. Like, whatever way you look at it, like, you're putting yourself in an environment which is going to give you knowledge which somebody else might not have. And like, for me, it taught me a lot about good practice. Like, it didn't teach me how to be creative. It doesn't work like that. Like, I don't think you can teach creativity.
No.
Like, and don't get me wrong, I believe everybody
to an extent
is creative. I believe everybody is creative. I just feel like some people don't know how to unlock that sometimes, especially when they grow up and they've been told that, you got to get a job in accounting or something. You got
to be a doctor, you got to be a lawyer. Those are the only ways to be successful. I get that. My parents never had those high standards for me, luckily. They were like, just finish high school, please. And I couldn't even do that. I got my GED, so I let them down.
Oh man, no. I did the same in sixth form, but the thing is, like, here we have like, you go like secondary school, like high school, and then you've either got college or sixth form. And if you go to sixth form, you're just staying at the same school, but it's higher education.
Oh,
Whereas if
and
you go
what?
to
How
college,
are you
like,
saying it? Sig form?
sixth? So sixth. So it'd be like the number sixth if you were saying like
Oh, sixth
fifth
form.
and then sixth. Yeah,
Okay.
sixth. So it's like I guess you have like 5 years at school.
Yeah.
In normal like, and then if you stay on, you go for your sixth year and also seventh year as well. But
Oh, gotcha. Sixth year. Okay.
yeah. So and then you go to once you've done sixth form in college, you go on to university.
Okay.
So that's pretty much.
So I think we
Pretty
kind of
much
have
how it
something
works.
similar, which is like, oh, you wouldn't, before you go to university, there's like, I don't know if everyone does this. I'm not the person to ask about college or university. I was never, here's another argument. But real quick, I think we call it like community college. Like a lot of people go to community college and then they'll go to a university or something like that.
I think that's similar.
Okay.
I think we don't call it community college. We just call it college, and then
Right.
you guys call it you guys call university college.
Yeah, no, that's
So
true.
I guess that's
Yeah. There's another argument to that. I know you said you're right down the middle. I'm
right on.
I don't know. I don't really have advice on that. I try not to give advice on things I've never done. I've never been to university. I was never a school person, and I think there's a select group of people out there in the world that school type of stuff isn't for them much.
I agree with that.
And I don't know if it's like, I know everybody these days says I've got ADHD or this and that, and I think everybody does to a certain extent or whatever, you know what I mean? But I just couldn't pay attention, man. And there's a lot of other people out there that I'm sure there's a lot of people like me that just, they didn't absorb it. And it's more of, and I think Gary Vee said this, is they're not lazy, they're disinterested. And when,
that's it.
When Gary Vee said that, I was like, yes, exactly. It's not that they're lazy, they don't want to do the homework, because I had great teachers that got us into, I loved history class. One of the few classes I ever loved was history, but the teacher got really involved, and history always impressed me. I've always been like a World War II buff, or like, just knowing what's happened on this planet or in this universe is just crazy to me. So I've always liked history, and I've always been interested. So I always did my history homework. I always got involved in class. I always did well. I got good grades in history. Science could have given a shit less, because it is what it is. You know what I mean? Science is definite. Math is a definite thing. I'm not going to change it. You know what I mean? There's nothing to know there. It's an absolute. You know what I mean? I like things that are, happen because of psychological reasons. And I think history tapped into my brain a little bit more than things that were like math and science that are so absolute. You know what I mean? It is math and science. It is what it is. Oh, not so much science.
Pure logic.
Science is
science as well. You could discover new things with science, but there's a lot of math that goes into science.
Right.
So like I fucked up so many experiments, dude, at school, because they're giving you all these precise measurements, and I would be sat there with my flask, and I'd just be chucking shit in. I remember this was like a higher level as well, and I had a mate who studied with me in biology, and they were giving us these things to do, and I was like, he went, "Have you put that in right?" And I was like, "Pretty sure, man. Pretty sure." I did
pretty
the same in
sure,
cooking,
yeah.
by the way. I'm like, yeah. So like, I just threw it in.
Right.
At the end, everybody else's like vials were blue, and mine was like green. And my mate was like, "You've definitely fucked up." And I was like, "Well, I couldn't tell you where."
Blue, pretty close to green. Similar spectrum.
I mean, borderline.
Right. Exactly. No, it's interesting for sure. Especially, where I grew up and went to school. You said, you were messing with vials and stuff like that. My school, everything was bookwork, dude. So we were automatically disinterested. We never got to dissect anything. We never got to do anything cool. We never got frogs to cut open. I don't know. I grew up in Las Vegas in Clark County, and we have a very not so great education system. And I've always been when I was younger, I would always be like, "Oh, I got my GED because of the education system." I would always blame it on them. But here's the thing. Part of it's my fault. I'll take responsibility as an adult, I'll take responsibility and say, "Hey, I ditched way more than I should have." You know what I mean? I should have been going to school, because all you have to do these days in certain school districts is show up, be counted for. And I couldn't even be bothered to do that. I was so disinterested by the time senior year rolled around. So school's not for everybody, I guess was the point.
I think lower education as well. I think lower education fails. Not to say that it's all bad, but
right.
I feel like it does fail people or kids because it doesn't allow them to explore what they really want to do as much as. Don't get me wrong. There are things that you need to be taught so that you're knowledgeable of just everyday shit. So
exactly.
But when it beyond that, like at university, like if this is why I'm in the middle. It doesn't matter what subject you take. University will always teach you something. It always teach you best practice, and it always teach you a good way to view the subject. It always expands your mindset and skill set. But when it comes to like now, and like as in what I do now, I've got this skill set and I've got this knowledge from university that will always be with me. But subjects are always changing and evolving, and so are the programs that we use, and you learn this at university. It goes that so many different design and art movements come and go, and now you get things like like skeuomorphism and shit that come and go, like in UI design, and then like that might change to something else, and then find what you're good at. Find what you enjoy in design and subjects you enjoy. Find what you're good at and just build on that,
Definitely.
And you will always, I teach myself all the time. Like I use Skillshare all the time, man, to like learn new shit, or YouTube, or, I just.
How is Skillshare? This isn't a sponsored ad, by the way, but tell me a little bit about Skillshare. I hear it all the time. I've never even checked it out.
It's good.
Real quick, I do want to mention, Camera Tim said bookwork has killed a lot of education. I totally agree with that, man. It's like I wanted to touch on that. And Living Dead Girl said attendance parties, which is totally true. You show up for the attendance party. When you're in grammar school 1 through 5, the teachers really they enjoy the children, and they get so involved with developing brains, and they do activities, and it's like school was fun 1 through 5. I don't know how they do it in the UK, but it was 1 through 5, then 6 through 8, which was called middle school. And that was, you're growing up a little bit, and then they're a little bit more harsh, and like, this is serious. You got to take this serious. You're going into high school. Yeah. And then you get to high school and they're like, you're an adult now. And you're like, no, I'm not, dude. Like it's the teachers just expect so much out of these older kids, you know what I mean? And it's been a while since I've been in high school, and it's like, it's really sad because, and I'm speaking from my experience, I don't know how anyone else's high school experience was, but it was like, you show up to high school and they're like, you've been in school for 8 years now. You know how it goes. You know the drill. And it's just like, really? I come here and it's just like, but I try to take responsibility for, my own actions of not graduating and getting my GED. But, the school, there is a problem with the school districts.
Yeah, there is. And it's not until later where you get to choose your subjects, and that's when I feel like it opens it up and it becomes more enjoyable for some students.
And then you choose your subject, and they're like, "Oh, that class is full. Why don't you do choir?" And you're like, "I don't sing." And they're like, "Well, choir has 8 open spots, and you should do that." And you're like, "Fuck!" So I know so many kids that got put into some shit because our school was too filled up, and you know what I mean.
They don't really get that so much here.
Oh, we did here. Vegas is a growing city, and I don't know how many high schools there are in my city, but it's ridiculous. I don't know if it's, like I said, I don't know how it is everywhere else, but 85 high schools in my fucking city, dude.
Would you say that's a lot or not? Because like I'm like, I don't know. If that was in a city in the UK, that would be ridiculous amount of cities. Like,
no, it's a lot. It's a lot for a population of.
That just seems like a lot.
Yeah. Well, Greg said small town problems. K through 5, most of the teachers cared. 6 through 12, they didn't. Were most worried about the school board kids and making sure they had the best opportunity. Right. And then in the States, we have these, what are they called? Their tests, their placement tests and shit. And all it's doing is testing placements. And it's like, this doesn't matter, but really it does. It's all bullshit. Yeah. But anyway, 85 high schools in Las Vegas. When I moved here in 1994, there were probably 15. So, Jesus. Yeah, maybe 20. But it's crazy. And they packed these schools, right? So, real quick, one more thing I wanted to say is before COVID, I was a photographer for a photography studio. And we would photograph for their yearbooks, right? So I was talking to another employee that worked there, and he was telling me that, oh yeah, there's these studios in Arizona, Washington, California, Oregon, and he said we're by far the most busy branch. We're the busiest branch because most of these schools on average have about 20 kids per class, where on average in Las Vegas, we have like 30 to 35 kids per class. Oh, so, hell, man. Yeah, they're packing too many kids in these schools, man. It's like packing them in like sardines, and it's like, I don't know.
That's not good.
Let's move on from the school topic, because I think we're getting a little off subject. We were going to talk about Skillshare there for a second, even though this isn't a sponsored stream. But go ahead.
Yeah, I use it. In fact, when I first, so this actually ties into like my first experience of content creation. But I was like sitting there thinking, I've used Skillshare before. This was years ago, and I thought I've used it before and I've learned something. So like, I'm gonna try and teach something,
Right.
So I've got the experience of both sides, and I would say it's a really good platform to learn. Like, my advice is, and this is how this ain't sponsored. Like, get a free trial.
Yeah.
Like, just use the month. Don't and then before it charges you, obviously, like, cancel that. But
and tell me the prices of Skillshare. This is starting to sound a little sponsored.
I actually don't know what they are.
Oh, okay.
It's not that much. I think I ended up paying like $75 for a year.
That's not bad.
So that's not bad. But like, the thing is within that month, like, even if you got a monthly trial, let's say, within that month, you could learn a ton, like, because the projects, the lessons they're blocked in really nice chapters. Mm-hmm. So you can look at the chapters and you can think, okay, well, I know that subject. So you can skip that chapter, you can go on to the next one. You can like really quickly move through. Some of them give you projects to work on and post in like the project section. So it's actionable as well.
I actually love programs like that too. You ever heard of lynda.com? It was recently acquired by LinkedIn. So if there's any of you guys out there that is just wanting to learn how to do Photoshop, Premiere Pro, After Effects, I don't know. I'm sure Skillshare has DaVinci Resolve. A lot of people in this industry use DaVinci Resolve. Yeah. HitFilm Express. Anything design related. I could speak from experience. Camera Tim said he's used Lynda as well. I'm not sure. I'm sure Skillshare might be probably a better outlet, but I've recently been on and through some of the classes that are on LinkedIn. If you have a LinkedIn premium account, which you get a free trial for that as well. I went through a whole Premiere Pro class, and it's YouTube is great, right? YouTube, you can learn anything you want, but the difference between like Skillshare or lynda.com or now LinkedIn's courses or tutorials, they're chaptered. Chaptered. They give you the projects to follow along with. It's the next step above YouTube, and it's worth
Oh,
the money,
definitely.
because
You,
this is kind of on the subject of, the school stuff. It's like
it is, yeah, yeah.
some people
Self-teaching.
are way better at just learning at their own pace, and they get excited to take these online courses and stuff like that. Rompin' Donkey, how you doing? What's cracking, brother? I think Skillshare's layout is better, but it has been a long time since I've used Lynda, so it can be completely off base.
I,
It's been a while since I've used. I don't think Lynda exists
I would
anymore. I
agree
think
with
it's
Candice. I
yeah.
used LinkedIn Learning. It's now called LinkedIn Learning, and I used
Gotcha.
that last month. I say that I went to use it, and I started this course, and I was looking at this guy's course, and I thought this guy's setup looks like he's filming in the 90s. Like, and I looked at the date it was released, and I was like, oh, I mean, it wasn't in the 90s, obviously, but it was
Right.
like a good few years ago now, and I thought. I I know the content's still going to be valuable, but it kind of put me off
No, it
because
will.
I thought I'm sure there's a more updated course somewhere. So I sort of moved off that, and then Skillshare, and it's the same with LinkedIn, I'm sure. But like, there's so many teachers now, and they're all releasing so many different
Right.
courses and lessons that I'm sure there's a more up to date
Right.
version of that course somewhere, even if it's on YouTube. Like YouTube, the way the way I put them side by side is YouTube is unstructured learning, like, and Skillshare and LinkedIn Learning is structured learning because
Hmm.
it's all combined in one pack. With YouTube, you generally have to search for the next lesson, or it might be there. It might be there in a playlist, but still, I feel like it's less actionable.
I think YouTube, personally, my best videos on YouTube by far have been tutorial videos. And I mean, that could just,
Yeah,
there's only a few of them, but, and that could be just because I'm uneducated about the analytics and the titles of the other ones. But YouTube is definitely a place where people associate learning now. You know what I mean?
oh, definitely.
Um,
Yeah, definitely. I would say as
or
well,
or
like,
reviews. You know what I mean? Like product reviews. It's crazy. Like Unbox Therapy. I don't know if you guys know who Lou is from Unbox Therapy,
yeah, he's
but that guy has made a hell of a
oh,
career for
he's
himself
killing it.
unboxing
He's
shit. You
killing
know
it.
what I mean?
Yeah, he
Um,
is. He's crushing it.
yeah.
I would say, and I hope this doesn't happen, I really do, but like, I would say to everybody who's here in chat and watching, like, make the most of YouTube as it is now, because I don't want it to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me if they released YouTube Learning or something and you ended up having to like pay for certain things, certain content, like, you know,
Yeah.
I know it might be hard for them to regulate that because people upload their own videos, and technically I would assume people would have to get paid if they were to do that. Like, the teachers would need to get paid somehow, but
Right.
it kind of falls into the same, like, if you haven't got that many viewers and subs and you're not monetized yet, then they can kind of do what they want with your content, and like,
Yeah.
you
It's
just
an
never
interesting
know.
it's an interesting thought to think about, because they could either they could easily do something like, I mean, it's YouTube, it's Google, they could easily
Yeah,
change how we view our content or make our content in the snap of a
yeah.
finger, you know what I mean? And as content creators, that's kind of something to think about too, you know what I mean? Because stuff like that could
Well, that
happen, and it could hurt us, and it could also benefit
yeah,
us. You know what I mean? I think people just right off the bat would hate it because people aren't open to change. You know what I mean?
people would hate it. Definitely, people would hate
People
it. Like,
people you could do something for the better, and people would, what? This isn't
yeah,
my YouTube. I've known YouTube for years. We went to university together. I disagree. I'll give him a phone call. He'll change his mind immediately. You know what I mean? It's like, and the
well,
same
that's what they
thing.
did with YouTube Premium.
Right, right. Which I still don't have. I know a lot of people who use it, but
Yeah.
which, I think actually YouTube Premium, don't creators see a portion of that too, or something,
No,
or is it all
they'll have to.
monetization on
It goes.
YouTube?
It's all monetization. It goes by watch time. So like, even if from my understanding of it, like if somebody's paying for YouTube Premium, the advertiser, there's so many people that aren't, but the advertisers who would have their adverts on somebody's channel, for example, that you would still get monetized because the watch time is what it counts for more than the ad itself. I think.
That makes sense.
So, but you're not going to see a portion of that sub.
Like, right.
That subscription.
Right. We were talking about it earlier. I think it was you and me were talking about how I think there's going to be a slight change in the way content creation is going, just because it's so flooded right now. You know what I mean? It's so oversaturated. And was that you and me talking about that, or it might have been me and Irish yesterday talking about it, actually?
Yeah, I don't think we've spoken about that.
Okay. We were having a conversation last night then about how TikTok has changed my outlook on new streamers. I had no idea. I don't think I really grasped the fact of how many people start streaming, how many people want to be on YouTube, how many young aspiring kids there are out there that want so badly at the age of 10, 11, 12 to have their own computer and be the next Twitch streamer, be the next YouTuber, you know what I mean? And next Ninja, or you know what I mean? And that's possible, you know what I mean? They're out there. The next big thing is out there.
Next everything's out there.
Yeah.
Next everyone, you know, somewhere.
And I recently came across a video where somebody said, Bisto, sorry, my son, he wants to be a YouTuber. How old is your son? Because there is a generation out there that I think it's, you know, Gen Z or whatever's after that, they want to be content creators. Content creators are going to be such an oversaturated thing, and there's going to be too many creators at some point, you know what I mean? Because it's just not possible.
Well, I think there's always, technology is always evolving. Yeah. And when you actually think about it, there's always been content creators, always. Like, whether that be on TV, radio, podcasts, you know, there's always been content creators. It's just the platforms have evolved. So like all that's going to happen, and it's always the people who get there first, you know, that do the best, usually. So think about VR. Like, where's VR going? The next thing is going to be in your living room. Like, you're going to be in somebody's room and they're going to literally be entertaining you pretty much in front of your face. You know, that's going to happen one day. That's going to happen.
Yeah, like
people are going to have to be prepared for that.
A virtual lunch break or something. A virtual lunch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
A Patreon subscription where you pay to have lunch with so and so.
You know what I mean? Surprise me.
Pay $150, you can sit down with me and we'll virtually eat a meal together, and I don't know how that works. You know, we'll eat pixels or something. I don't know, but
eat pixels. I know what you mean, but like, it's the VR thing's happening, man. Like, so that's that. That might not even be the next step. Right. It's definitely a step that's coming.
There's something out there.
You've got to be prepared. Like, you gotta. I think keep your eye. When it comes to like content creation, it's like keep your eye on things that are like, TikTok was new not that long ago. Now it's completely flooded. Right. Like it wasn't that long ago that like, and then, you know, people like Gary Vee were like, you got to jump on this. It doesn't matter that half the people using it are kids doing silly dances. He's like, the point is it's a new platform with unmoderated reach. Yeah. And like, your business could benefit. And like, so many people, including myself, was like, you know, I don't think TikTok's really for me.
Oh man. Yeah.
And then I saw other artists and designers posting their work. Yeah. And I was like, shit, man, I've jumped on this too late. I've jumped on it too late now.
Right.
But
no,
I still don't think it's too late overall, but like in comparison to an early adopter, you know.
And I think we talked about this earlier, is like TikTok has so many, especially in our industry with the streaming industry, there's Twitch tips, things I wish I would have known before I started streaming, which is oversaturated for sure. There's a lot of it, and there's a lot of the same ununique content on TikTok. And you know what? It could be beneficial, it could not be beneficial, but I've always been a firm believer in there's not a lot of innovators out there, right? There's a lot of people that are successful that aren't innovators. Not everyone can be, not everyone's going to be Apple or Nike. You know what I mean? And the quicker you realize that, the quicker you realize maybe you could be a little bit successful. Because you don't have to be Apple or Nike. Everyone has those goals, and maybe you will be. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you won't be. You know what I mean?
It's accidental. I mean, you got to think like these brands, like they never realized. I mean, they had big goals, sure. They were a business, they wanted to grow, but I bet you never did they think they'd be like one of the biggest global brands. Like, Nike is recognized by its tick. You see that tick anywhere, it's Nike. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, and I bet they never thought that. Never. Not in the early days.
No.
So you got to start somewhere, and it's always just one thing. It could just be one thing that like pushes that.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to the TikTok thing, it's like you see the same regurgitated content over and over and over again. At one point, is it like enough's enough? You know what I mean? It's like, cause I'm on both sides of the spectrum. It's like, make content to grow. Right. And who cares if somebody's said it, make it unique to you, don't copy somebody, but make it your own style. You know what I mean? How many times are we going to say, do this tip and you'll grow on Twitch? You know what I mean? Make valuable content. Harris Heller said, make valuable content on other platforms to grow your Twitch. Everybody else is saying that now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, there's nothing wrong with saying it, but make it unique and throw your own words and your own experience onto it, if you will, I guess, in a way.
Oh, no. And Harris Heller is a good example of somebody who's done that himself, just for the pure reason, like, people were saying that shit way before Harris Heller. Like, Gary Vee was saying that. He's been saying that for the past like 20 years, however long he's been going. And like, I've got a friend who offers advice to creatives and community builders, and he's been saying that for ages too. Like, and then I came across Harris Heller, and like fairly recently, in the bigger scheme of things, he's been saying, create valuable content off of Twitch and like drive your audience. And like, it doesn't matter who says it, it's still regurgitated content. But what makes the difference is how it's delivered and by who. Because it doesn't matter, like, as bad as this is, like, people are instantly and by nature prejudiced, where it's impossible not to be. Like, don't feel bad about it. Like, I do it. Sometimes I might see somebody giving advice on a social media platform, and I'll check their following and be like, well, like, I mean,
it's true.
Sometimes
we're all guilty of it.
Proof. We're all guilty of it. Like,
it's built in your nature to look at somebody's, what's the word? Success. If somebody's giving success advice and they're not successful, it's easy to say, well, who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? And that's totally fine. So easy to say that, let's catch up on chat here for a second. Cameron Tim said, I'm willing to bet if the kids or even teens that say that when they want to be streamers, YouTubers, over 99% of them, that is, if they were automatically put in the position of success, like say 1 million YouTube subs, substantial Twitch following with a regular schedule every other day, YouTube uploads, they wouldn't realize that it's not their type of career and quit in a week. That's true. Who's to say that, if they were automatically thrown into this position, is what Tim's saying. They're automatic, because I read weird, and just to clarify what I just read, because I'm terrible at reading. If they're thrown into this position where they have millions of subs and a huge Twitch following, they might not like it. You know what I mean? It might not be for them. Yeah. So that's another good point. Salad, good luck on your internship, bud. That's huge news. I'm sure you're gonna slay it with the pictures that you sent me of what you've been what you've been cooking at home with those burgers and stuff, my man. Anyway, congrats. Good luck. Don't be nervous.
Good luck, salad.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, man, it's I don't know. I don't want to get too off topic of the task at hand here, which is staying inspired and what inspires us and how to be inspired. So,
I totally think like, no, I was just literally just going to add in just at the end of that. Like, I do think like that does link to staying inspired though. Is not to worry too much. Like,
right.
You know, not to worry too much about what people might think when you are uploading your content. Because the thing is,
just do it.
Do it. Just do it. And hundreds of people said it. Thousands of people said it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Because eventually you're going to have social proof. It doesn't matter if you haven't got it initially. Build relationships on top of your content.
Mm-hmm.
And you will have that, you'll have that social proof. People get to know you. They will get to know that the value you're giving is backed up by your experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think there's, it's weird because there's if somebody was thrown into that position, most likely they would fail. You know what I mean? Because they didn't learn the steps along the way. You have to learn the steps along the way.
Agreed. Yeah.
If I'm looking back at myself last year at this time, I've learned so much. I've learned so much about design. I've learned so much about content creation, about uploading content onto YouTube, uploading content onto TikTok. I wasn't even thinking about TikTok last year at this time. You know what I mean? It existed, but I didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? So people need to go through those steps, right?
100%.
Now, some people are going to adapt easier, I'm sure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there are people that have blown up in a year. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
I think Ludwig blew up pretty quickly in his streaming career.
Yeah, he blew up really quickly.
Yeah,
but he did have a YouTube channel prior, didn't he? And his
I'm not
YouTube
sure.
channel was quite successful.
Oh, was it? Okay.
He had He had a fairly successful YouTube channel, from my understanding. I was actually talking to my brother about this like last month, and I said he came out of nowhere. And my brother was like, "No, he had a YouTube channel, and like it was doing quite well." And then he moved to Twitch, and then he did the subathon. The subathon just blew him up.
Right.
Like, he ended up streaming for like, like 3 weeks straight or something stupid, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think it was like, actually, I think it was like maybe 30 days or something like that. I don't even remember.
It was 30 days? Jesus, man.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
We could look it up.
It was a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, certain people will adapt a little bit better than others, and that's just, everybody's different. You know what I mean? At the same time, I think there's a group of people that aren't cut out for it. You know,
it's not for everyone.
No, a lot of what you hear. Okay, streamer tips: just be yourself, right? Just be yourself, which is true, but there's an extent to that. I feel like most creators that are successful are slightly putting on a show.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
I'm different in front of camera than I would be if this camera was off. I'm different right now making this podcast because I am aware that I am making content. Hannah Dang, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate you. But I'm aware that I'm making content right now. So I'm myself for sure. Yeah, like this is me having a conversation with Luke. But there's an added Matt Kraken experience to that. You know what I mean? If you will.
Yeah.
And anyone who says otherwise, I'll argue that because I disagree. I think that everyone's slightly putting on a show. Some, others, and more. Look at Doc. Doc's putting on a show every time he fucking makes content. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, and I love his content as well. Like, there's, he isn't. Okay, I'll caveat that. Like, just by saying this, like, some people, they are still just being themselves, but it's a slightly accentuated version of themselves. Like,
right.
Let's be realistic. You're creating content. Now, on your everyday situation where you're doing exactly what you're doing. Say you're playing a game.
Mm-hmm.
Are you constantly talking to yourself while playing that game on a
No.
normal basis? Hell no, you're
No.
not. Of course you're not. So like you have that running through your mind. It's impossible to just be your 100% your natural self, because you're not doing something that's you're naturally doing, you know, on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So you could be yourself, but it's probably going to be an accentuated version of yourself, you know.
Right.
But
Camera tips, am I a showman? But you probably, you know, without knowing it, you know what I mean? Because here's the thing, I don't know what Camera Tim is like off camera, you know what I mean? Camera Tim could be a totally different person. DeadWeightDesign could be a totally different person, you know what I mean? But you could say you're being yourself, but I don't know. Careful with the D word. What's the D word, Greg?
I know he's talking about Doctor, because he got banned from the platform, didn't he?
Oh. Well, you can't mention his name?
Yeah, I don't think that matters. I don't think mentioning his name matters.
No, like, I didn't think so. And then we just go black, you know?
Yeah. This broadcast
has ended.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
Rain, how we doing? That's one of your viewers, right?
Oh, that's Raina.
Raina,
how we doing?
Raina, what's cracking? Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for the follow. Yeah. So anyway, we could this could be a topic on our own. Let's move on to some talking points here. Sure. Earlier you were talking about some companies you work for and stuff. So I think we had some similarities there. You said you were inspired by a group of people from what was the first thing you started doing before you went to university?
The advertising agency work, RPM it was called.
Advertising, right? Yeah. So for anyone interested in, you know, if you could make a design career out of not having any college experience or anything like that, the answer is yes.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
I was able to get in. I live in Las Vegas, so I had a lot of opportunities with casinos and such. So I did a lot of things like slot toppers, which are go on top of slot machines, marquees, digital marquees outside of casinos, billboards. It was cool driving around town and seeing, hey, I made that billboard. You know what I mean? There's even one still on the way to Vegas from California of a photograph I edited from one of the casinos out here. So yeah, no, I think originally what inspired me to become a designer actually was a lot different than eventually working in casinos. It wasn't anything close to that. I started my career as a video editor actually, and videographer for a band that I was a tour manager for. I was a tour manager for a band that were a good group of my friends. Some of them still are. And we went on tour and they had a videographer with them. His name was Mark, really cool dude. And Mark was able to be there for half of the time, right? So Mark was in the van with us touring, and I can't remember if he let me borrow his camera or we had another camera, but he showed me, he goes, look, I'm going to leave. Do you want to start filming the shows? Do you want to start filming behind the scenes stuff? And I was like, yeah, dude, I'm just, you know, I got nothing to do. I'm just the tour manager, right? I got to take care of everything. No, I'm just kidding. But I was like, definitely.
Busy enough.
And he showed me some tips for, you know, shooting, and I immediately took to it. I was like, this is freaking awesome. And we got back into town. He showed me a little bit of Premiere Pro, and he's like, this is how I edit. And I was like, what is this? You know what I mean? I have no idea what this software is. This is crazy. So I guess I could say that some of the earliest inspiration was, was Mark, the videographer. And then I edited my first YouTube video for the band, and I had a blast with it. It was absolutely amazing. I think I used iMovie for the first edit or something like that.
Yeah.
But that was my original inspiration which then later down the road, I became more interested in photography, actually.
Sure.
And got my own Canon Rebel T2i was my first camera. And then I had some close friends that were photographers, and they taught me a lot. Hopefully one day we can have one of them on the show. But yeah, I think I think it's cool that you offer like the side that went to university and all that.
Yeah, man.
And then I can offer the side, if you want to have a career in graphic design, you don't necessarily have to go to college. I think it's a big misconception. If you got the money, then do it. If you got the money, then do it.
Yeah, 100%. If you got the money, do it.
Yeah.
I do find that at least in the UK, like there's a lot of job openings, and they almost require you to have a degree to apply. And
more and more companies are doing away with that.
Yes, yeah. I was just saying, I think it's a shame because there's plenty of people. I always feel like, especially in design, if you can prove you can do the work in your portfolio, then that should mean a lot more than a grade or like a piece of paper.
Your work should speak for your for what you can do. Obviously, a portfolio is the best thing you can do.
It backs up your application. It shows that you're qualified to do the work that they need you to do.
Right.
So.
It's interesting. Do you have any advice for anyone that might be trying to tap into the design world as a career?
Yeah. So there's something I say like to a lot of the people who I speak to when they pop into my streams, are asking about digital art, drawing, talking about their journeys. And I always say I don't believe in practice makes perfect, because perfect doesn't exist. But like practice makes better. So like if you're looking to get into a career, don't feel disheartened that maybe you don't have the skill set initially. You want to there's plenty of people who want to do it but feel like they can't. Well, that's not right. You can do it. It's just start a course, whether that be on YouTube, anywhere else. Start a course, just pick one and stick to it and finish it. And then do another one and start it and finish it. And then by the time you've done 10 courses, let's say on YouTube, you've got a pretty good skill set. Like, I don't know, what's the saying? There's so many hours, so like 1,000 hours or something that goes into
I don't think I know that one. Yeah.
Like you spend like 1,000 hours or whatever it is, and then so basically you keep doing this until you're completely comfortable, because there's always going to be something new to learn. Don't worry about that. Just worry about getting yourself comfortable with what you're doing. And then you've also, once you've done X amount of courses, you should have an end product because of these courses. So you should have this, even though it's personal work, it doesn't matter right now, you should have a small portfolio building up while you're doing these projects. And it's something for you to show when you do go for an interview. Let's say you're trying to crack into the design career, and let's say you're trying to get a full-time job to start you off. I feel like there's plenty of good experiences that come from full-time work in design agencies. But look around at your local businesses as well, because you'll find some small businesses might not necessarily want to employ, they might not have the budget for an experienced, fully with a degree and all that, or whatever you want,
yes,
graphic designer. So, and they might be more willing to pay a little bit less for somebody who's still learning the ropes and, will give it their best shot, but, is at that point in their career where both the business and the individual then benefits, because you're getting paid. I always say, when it comes to work like that, I don't think you should be doing it for free, personally.
No,
like
I think there will be,
if you want,
situations for in the beginning of your career. I agree with what Luke is saying for 100%, but there will be situations in the beginning of your career where you want to do something for free for a friend or something like that, and that's okay. But
that's fine.
Yeah. But go on with what you're saying.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, like, but don't do it for free, like so, especially if you're talking to local businesses, like, because they're paying you, you're getting something on your CV, your resume, like, and you're getting a portfolio of work and that will put you in good stead when you're later on applying for other design jobs that might be of a little bit of a higher status. But
Right.
while you're employed, I highly encourage you at that stage to not become complacent with your self-education, because things are always changing. And like, if you're excited by design, because I mean, I'm assuming like if you're trying that hard to begin with, then you love it. You know, you're doing it because you love it. Like,
Right.
just continue to learn and continue to do your personal projects on the side, because it's all going to come together. It's all going to benefit you
Right.
in one way or another.
Right.
But you just said a minute ago, Matt, like if you want to do a bit of work for free for a friend, like that's fine. Like the other side of the coin is when you have a creative mind and when you have practiced and you've built a skill set that allows you to create something from your imagination or from design is all about solving a problem that somebody has, usually a visual problem or a communication problem. Like marketing, it's visual communication really is what it is.
Yeah.
And if you have, you got to bear in mind, like people who can do that, you are fortunate and you have this skill that somebody else doesn't. And if a friend is struggling and you're in a position to help them with that problem, don't be afraid to just help them, because they'll remember that. But ultimately, don't worry about people who might say that cheapens the industry. Don't worry about that. Like, it's not like you're going to a business and saying, "Hey, I'm going to do all your work for free." That's not what you're doing.
No.
You're just like helping somebody out.
Yeah.
That's the natural thing. You're being human.
There's got to be different levels of experience there, right? So if you're just starting out, and then there's also the freelance involved too. So, if there's Bobby Joe, he goes to college for years and he's worked for companies like, Apple. He's worked for companies like HP. He's been, he's experienced, he's top dollar of the market. You know what I mean? People are going to pay him top dollar. And then there's beginners, you know what I mean? There's people at the bottom level. So you match yourself with those companies, Bobby Joe or whatever, he's not going to go to some mom and pop shop down the street. That's where you're going to go as a designer. You know what I mean? Yeah. So stay in your lane.
There's a place for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lane. There's a lane for everybody.
Go ahead.
Go on. Sorry.
No, you good.
I was just going to say, like, based on the fact that, when I was saying about if you want to help a mate out, don't be shy to, like, there's somebody who really does follow that philosophy, and he's a very successful designer, logo designer,
right?
Called Aaron Draplin. And like I've read his book recently, really good and inspiring book. And there was a point in time where his mate really needed help with his hot dog business. The logo he'd used was essentially the same as like a band logo or something, or like a famous logo, and somebody reported him. Yeah. And basically, Aaron Draplin, it was his friend, and he was just like, you know what, don't worry about the money, and he just did it because he was his mate and he helped him. And ultimately, it's one of his favorite, well, from what he says in his book, it's one of his favorite logos he's designed. And I can honestly say it's an awesome logo.
Really?
It's called Cobra Dogs. You should look it up, man. It's called the Cobra Dogs logo.
Cobra Dogs. Here, let me check that out real quick.
Yeah. It's fun. He did like a whole design and brand pack for him.
It's like red and yellow.
Yeah, red and yellow. Yeah.
Okay. Here, let's bring that right there. I actually have a scene.
Oh, sweet.
Nope, that's not working. Properties.
That's
there we go.
Not the scene you were looking for.
No, this is it right here. Is this the logo here? Cobra Dogs.
Yeah, that's the logo.
Yeah, that's dope.
So it's a really cool logo. He did all that brand packaging for him and things like that. Like,
yeah,
he's very, very heavy on vector design.
Aaron Draplin, I'm gonna have to check him out.
Definitely do. Like, in terms of like, and this links on to like when you're first starting in your design careers. Like, the other advice I would give is find designers and find people in the industry that inspire you.
Right.
And look at their work and read if they've got a book, read their books, and like get to know them any way you can, because
Right.
the likelihood is everybody starts in the same place. Like, especially like I feel, especially in the design world, like usually everybody starts at the bottom and they work their way up, and everybody has a different method of like climbing and growing in their space, and it's because everybody's got a different style.
Naturally.
Some people's design styles are really, really similar for sure.
Yeah.
But like, there's only one of you, and if you can use that to your advantage in your work, then you sure as hell gonna have a good time with it.
Most definitely. Also, freelance is a good place to start.
Oh yeah.
So working for yourself, obtaining some business cards. Here's the thing about our industry, and I know a lot of people listening to this or here right now, or they're going to listen to this, are probably content creators or thinking about becoming a content creator. So I made a TikTok on this the other day, actually. It was becoming a content creator or a streamer means you're more than a streamer. You're learning about camera equipment. You're learning about audio equipment. You're learning about software. You're learning how to become a video editor. So take those skills. Maybe you can't be a full-time streamer at first. Maybe you can't be a full-time YouTuber at first. But if you set aside some money and you buy a nice camera, some nice lenses, be a photographer. You know what I mean? Get some business cards, work freelance. I mean, I'm literally doing that right now. I'm designing stream designs. I just opened my commissions again recently, and I'm going to be making money on that because I can't support myself off of what I make off Twitch or Patreon or YouTube or whatever, you know what I mean? So if you're a small streamer and you happen to have a good camera and you know how to edit videos, you've been editing your YouTube videos for 3 months now, make some business cards. Start becoming a freelance artist to support your content creation career. You know what I mean? You're going to be learning these skills along the way. Headshots. Every company needs headshots. I used to go door to door with my business cards. Hey, you guys need some headshots? Here's my business cards. Check out my portfolio. You know what I mean? It's just, they go hand in hand. So freelance is a good way to build a portfolio for sure. And just stay in that lane of smaller businesses. If you're a smaller photographer, find smaller businesses that are going to need some pictures. Everybody needs photographers. Everybody's on social media. Yeah. That's another thing. Content creation is going to be not only a self-employed thing, it's going to be a position in businesses. Everybody's going to have a YouTube channel, just like everybody's got a website. Everybody has an Instagram.
Already do.
Yeah. A bunch of companies are going to have Instagrams, Twitters, YouTube channels. They're going to need video editors. They're going to need photographers. They're going to need all this stuff. So what I try to convey a lot of the time is these skills you're learning as a content creator, use those as a freelance designer. Use those as something on your resume. You know what I mean? Because a lot of companies don't have creative departments, and a lot of companies want/need creative departments.
Yeah, especially social media. They want their presence. They want their company to be seen and known by many, but they don't.
If they want to compete, that's the hard truth. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like I said. Been listening to a lot of Gary Vee lately, and and a lot of other people do, and they're taking his word for it. They're inspired by Gary Vee, and they're like, okay, my business needs to be on TikTok. My business needs to be on Instagram, What if you're not really creating something on stream and you're more of an entertainment streamer, just chatting and generally having a laugh with your viewers? Rompin' Donkey said that in chat. So Donkey, if you're going to be a content creator, you're going to learn skills, right? Not everyone's going to be, a photographer or whatever, but most content creators are going to be video editors. You're going to learn video editing skills. You know what I mean? You use DaVinci Resolve, don't you, Donkey? You're speaking more from you're an entertainment streamer rather than an educated educator streamer or influential. So
Okay. So in that sense, are we talking? So are we talking using entertainment streams to go into a creative career? Is that what we're talking about, or?
See, my position is you're still going to learn those skills, right? You're still going to
Yeah,
learn.
you are. Yeah, 100%.
If you want to be a Twitch streamer, you should be a YouTuber, right? You should be editing videos for TikTok. You should be editing videos for YouTube. Not everyone's going to do that, but
No.
it's a skill to learn. It's a skill you should learn.
I definitely think you should be learning video editing if you're streaming, because you're gonna want your.
It's free.
Like, your streams. Yeah, your streams are like your all your content is your streams.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to create separate content, and take it from me, it's hard. And if you're trying to create completely separate content from your streams to your YouTube to your TikTok, then you are going to be having a real hard time. So, the video editing, take your streams and put them into DaVinci or Premiere or whatever it is that you use, and, chop them up and create like show reels out of the footage you've got, which will complement your base content, your main content, which is your Twitch channel. YouTube has done a lot of people favors by uploading shorts, like, because you might not necessarily monetize your YouTube channel through shorts, but it gives you a place to upload the same 60-second clips that you might upload to TikTok. So you've got it already. Slap them on YouTube, because there's going to be other people on YouTube that's still going to see your content. And it gives more people a chance to click through to your Twitch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For sure. What's your question there, Biggie? Biggie said he has a question regarding TikTok also. But while we're waiting for him to type his question, I full-heartedly believe if you're going to be a Twitch streamer, learn the skill of video editing. It's free.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason not to. You know what I mean? There's no reason not to. And it's you don't have to make movies. No one's saying you have to learn color correction at first. Splicing and cutting clips. Yeah. Biggie asks, I was going to ask, how you do add a sound when you edit on PC, because it won't let me if I edit my TikToks on PC. If you want to add a sound on TikTok, or if you want to add a sound on your video, you just do it in the video editing software. I add music to all my TikToks, my own music, because I'm a firm believer in not just posting music for the fact that it's trending. I need, in my own brain, this is just me, I know a lot of people don't do this, the music that fits the video is going to attract people to that video. Sound design is extremely important for video, right? Like, watch a movie with terrible sound design and you'll fucking hate the movie. So what I'll do is I'll upload the sound on Premiere Pro that I want to use from my collection, my library. I'll put a trending song on the TikTok video and I'll turn the volume all the way down. You know what I mean?
It makes sense.
So,
that makes sense to do that.
Not all the time. If I do it on my phone, then no, I'm not going to do that. How do you pick a sound to add and edit on your PC? Because it add me a custom sound. I'm not sure I know what you're talking about, Biggie. Are you doing it from your phone? If you're doing it from your phone, then you're limited to what kind of limited to the TikTok sound. So when I make a TikTok on my camera, or if you make a TikTok on your webcam and you edit it in Premiere Pro, or you edit it in Resolve or Hit Film Express or whatever you're editing it, you can add sound because it's a video editor, right? You can add however many sounds you want. But on your phone, if you do it from your phone and then just upload it to TikTok, you're limited to whatever sounds TikTok has available.
And obviously, if you do add the sound on your PC to put into TikTok, it will come up with custom sound,
right?
Because it doesn't know, it doesn't register. It's not on its database. So that's why it just comes up with that every time,
right?
See, I've to be honest, what I try and do is a bit of a mix, because a lot of the times I will I will just put the video on my phone, the time lapse of the illustration or whatever.
Right.
I put it in TikTok, and I'll look at what's trending, but I'll also look now at what it suggests, because there's actually not awful at their suggestions on TikTok based on the content you're uploading, especially when it comes to like art. So
Right.
I'll look at that and make a decision, because if it's trending and it fits, then I know I'm in for a winner, you know. And the other thing was, although,
and don't get me wrong, there are a ton of songs that work on TikTok. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I just, when I'm editing on through Premiere Pro, I just, you know, I can find a better option, you know.
I have just seen what Rompin said in the chat as well about knowing VODs don't do particularly well on YouTube. But
yeah,
I think it's more like how you chop your VODs and edit them for YouTube, rather than like if you were to just upload a VOD, then yeah, especially when like, because when you've got chat on Twitch as well, people watching again on YouTube might be like, they might feel out of the loop, you know, because they weren't there at the time. So if you like chop up your content with some, and you know, you could get like some like let's say you've got, I don't know, After Effects or whatever you use to add some effects to your videos. You could just do some like funky transitions between each clip.
Right.
And just select the best bits, even if it's comedy, you know. Let's say you have some really stupid shit that happens in a few games, and like just take those moments and clip them all together, and you've almost got like a comedy VOD, you know.
Nailed it. 100%. So I made a TikTok and I said, I'm sick of seeing Warzone clips, right? Because it's all my For You pages. Now, I'm not bashing anybody. If you make Warzone content, you make Warzone content, whatever. I'm just personally sick of fucking seeing it. So I think that if you add a little bit of flair, you learn something on Resolve, the basic zooms in, the basic zoom outs, adding text, adding sound effects, a whistle, a buzz, a ding, a dong, whatever the fuck it may be, you know what I mean? Like, there are so many free options out there to enhance your video, whether it's sound, transitions, like Deadweight was saying. I even made a TikTok on that. Mr. Horse, if you use Adobe Premiere Pro, download Mr. Horse. It's free. You get transitions, you get sound effects, you get text boxes, you get, you know, flashy text animations. Resolve probably has the same thing. And if not, you know, it doesn't take a lot of time to learn the basics of zooming in and then zooming out. You know what I mean? Just clipping something from your Twitch channel and then taking that clip and posting that clip. It's not going to cut it anymore unless it's extremely.
Oh no, yeah.
You're not going to have a banger every stream. You know what I mean? So add a little bit of something to it. Also, if you're an entertainment streamer, make some entertainment content on YouTube. Have separate videos. Make videos about.
That does link back to what I said. It's hard to do that. Like I've tried and I still do it sometimes. Like my stream content is often different to my YouTube content, and it does take more time. You really need to want to do it, because like I've got frustrated and you know, thrown a video out the window. You know, I've filmed one and I've just hated it and I've just discarded it pretty much. So you're gonna have that, but don't.
YouTube isn't easy.
It's not, but don't worry. Like, if YouTube isn't your main platform of content creation, don't worry about being as consistent as you are on Twitch or as consistent as you are on Instagram. If that's another one of your main platforms, for example, like, don't get me wrong, consistency helps on any social media platform, whether that be YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. And if you can be consistent on YouTube as well, then definitely do it. But it does take a lot of time, and you're better off doing it as and when you can, not burning yourself out and getting good content on the platform, rather than trying to rush something through and burning yourself out in the meanwhile. And then obviously what you've got then is rushed content and a bad mindset for that particular platform.
Right.
So utilize if you can, but don't pressure yourself too much is my opinion on that. If you're creating content for both.
Right. You're going to learn. You're going to learn along the way. Upload.
Yeah, 100%.
Uploading something is better than uploading nothing. You know what I mean? If you upload something and okay, so quality is great, right? Quantity can almost be better for growth. So the quality will eventually come with the quantity.
It will, yeah. It will.
Okay, so here's the thing. And I'm writing a script for this too. Because I got a YouTube video I'm working on about the things I've learned in the past year of streaming. So and we've all heard this, make valuable content, blah, blah, blah. But think about what these things mean. You know what I mean? Don't just take things at face value. Make valuable content. But why am I making valuable content? Because the first time you went live was probably a lot similar to the first time I went live. I was just testing the waters. And Jim and Bob showed up because I'm playing video games with Jim and Bob, right? So those were my viewers. Okay, the next time you go live, you post something on Facebook. And then your mom and your dad show up and Uncle Rob shows up because you posted the link. Why are these people showing up? Right? Because they are your current community. This is your day-to-day community that you've built. Rob and Mom and Dad and Jim and Bob know you. So they're showing up to your Twitch stream. Use YouTube and TikTok to get more Rob, Mom, Dad, Jim, and Bob to join your community to follow you on Twitch. You know what I mean? Yeah. So break down these things we hear every day is really, you know what I mean? Don't take things for face value. Why do you have to make content on YouTube to grow on Twitch? People just hear that and they go, "Oh, well, that's the way it works." No, it's because there's a reason to this. You know what I mean?
It's not necessarily just YouTube. I mean, like,
no, it's Instagram. It's any other more discoverable platform, because Twitch is not a discoverable platform. We've heard that too. You know?
Yeah. I would actually argue that, like, YouTube is more discoverable than Twitch, definitely. But I would argue that YouTube is a lot less discoverable than it once was, as is Instagram, as is Twitter. But the platform that I think is most discoverable right now is TikTok. 100% TikTok. Like,
right.
It's still got really good discoverability. You might have a load of videos that only get a few hundred views, but then the next one could end up with thousands of views. And, like, it's almost chaotic and random. It's not. I promise you, like, there's a reason that those videos blow up, but it feels that way when you consistently upload, and then you might even upload some content that's so similar to your last video, but it's just different enough for it to be more popular.
Right.
Like, so, and it works the same across all social platforms, but YouTube, like, I think it has got good discoverability, and once your channel gets some views on it and gets some subs, then you're more likely to be discovered. But I think initially people give up quickly on YouTube because they're not getting the discoverability they're promised.
YouTube is a long game. YouTube is a long game.
Yeah, and I think people think, like, some people expect really quick results, because when people say it's really a discoverable program, it is, but not immediately. Like, that's the important thing, is it's not immediate discovery. Like, you will build a community.
Right. And here's another thing. It might be a long game, and patience is key when it comes to being successful on any platform. Raina said, yeah, a lot of people expect overnight success, for sure.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, so another thing is TikTok has the best discoverability, right? But that TikTok growth and those TikTok views do not always translate into Twitch followings or YouTube subscriptions. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So there's like a give and take with TikTok. Oh, my TikTok's blowing up. I hear it all the time. TikTok's blowing up, but it's not translating to Twitch. Why? Why is it not? Because you're not promoting your Twitch. You're not making content You're not making content that is valuable enough for them to want to go to your Twitch page or want to check out your latest YouTube video. You know what I mean? There has to be some sort of reason somebody wants to do that. You know, getting a like on TikTok and views is easy.
Oh yeah.
But there's got to be that incentive for them to.
That's what I was going to say. Like, what reason are you giving them? Like, what reason are you giving them to come off of TikTok, click through to your Twitch, and follow your Twitch? Because if your content is almost exactly the same, or if your content is of no value, on like, let's say your TikTok content is entertaining, but underlying that entertainment, there's no other value other than the fact that it's made them laugh. Like, they're probably not going to think, oh, I definitely need to go check that person out. Like, if you, so let's say, let's just use romping for an example with like VODs and clips,
right?
And let's say, let's say romping plays some Warzone. We'll go back to that game, but let's say that is, a game he plays, and the first thing you show is, this is how I think content can be valuable, entertaining, and lead to people wanting to click on Twitch. Let's say you start your clip off with a car exploding and your character flying through the air. That's how you start it, not the lead up to it. You show the instant result of what happens from that video.
Yeah,
people are hooked because it's probably made them laugh because it's a stupid thing to happen. But like, they will then probably want to watch the lead up to see how on earth your player gets to that situation. And then if they feel like your content, if they click on your TikTok and they see a load of content that's similar and it's funny and it's fun to watch, then they're probably going to click through to your Twitch, because they're going to think, if I watch that person's Twitch channel, if I'm there live, I can have some laughs, I'm going to see all of this there and then, and I can be part of it. That, in my opinion, that's just my opinion, but that's how I feel.
No, you're right.
Work. Like,
and then that's where consistency comes in, because if you keep doing stuff like that, me as a content consumer, I've seen somebody's post 3, 4, 5 times, right? It might not be till the 6th or 7th time I'm actually taking time out of my day to go follow them on Twitch. Here's the thing. Nobody deserves, and I've been saying this a lot. I think I said this to you, Luke. I'm going to start saying this in more of my videos. Growth and success is earned, not deserved. Yeah, and there's this follow for follow, let's grow together stigma amongst small streamers, and I think it's great. I think supporting each other is fantastic. But if you want true growth, you have to earn that success. And other content creators don't have time to to be supporting every other small streamer, you know what I mean? No. So
it doesn't work like that.
So consistency plays a big part in that as well. Like I said, it's not until maybe the 10th time I see somebody's good content that I'm going to go check them out. You know what I mean? But
yeah, 100%. I get what you mean. And to be fair, like when it comes to content, especially gameplay content, like I find people are probably going to follow you if you're either really good at the game, like you're going to be like fucking in tournaments and shit, like to that level. You're either really good at it, and by watching you, they're likely to learn and pick up tips and tricks. You're either really funny, like you're quirky, you're funny, and like I said about editing your clips in such a way that portrays that sort of message, for example, like, or you're just really bad, because like people watch, like, I'm not sure how popular this still is, but like I remember like when raging was like viral, like rage content was viral content, right? And, like, that's another form of fun. But if you're like I'm a pretty average player. Like when it comes to like things like Apex and like shooters, I'm an average player.
Most people are. And most people are like, that's what I say, either not
if
great.
You're an average player, yeah. But you're gonna need to do something to make you stand out from every other average player, right? Like, in that set of games, and like, it can be anything, but it's got to be something. Ultimately. and that's the value. Because I always used to wonder that. Like, in my personal journey, I used to think to myself, well, if I'm not releasing educational content, which sometimes I do now, but like back then I was thinking, if I don't release educational content and it's just entertaining, I was like, where's the value other than it being entertaining? And that's not really the question to ask. The question is like, how is it entertaining? Why is it entertaining? And how can I make it more entertaining? Because you've got the value already. Like, you know what it is.
Right.
Ultimately.
Right. What helps me, and I like to visually see things written down. I have a brand outline. You know what I mean? What, who, how, and why. What is my brand? Who is my brand for? How will it work? Why will it work? Write those down. And the more you have an understanding of your brand, the more your viewers will have an understanding of your brand. And it's not going to come overnight. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
I was lucky enough to have a background in design. When I first started streaming, I thought I was going to be a Warzone streamer. You know what I mean? I thought that was the thing to do. You know what I mean? I thought you go live and you play Warzone. Holy fuck, was I wrong, dude?
Yeah.
Some people can. You know what I mean? But also think of I don't like telling people what to do. You know what I mean? I really don't. I don't like being that guy. But if you're playing a game that's too oversaturated and you're not making content on other platforms and you're just hoping people will show up to watch you, you're wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, best of luck. Best of luck to you. You know what I mean? Mandy, what's cracking? How you doing?
Hey, Mandy.
But anyway, we're speaking of things that have just been beating a dead horse, if you will.
yeah, we definitely. I mean, these topics have been covered 1,000 times.
But I think us being in the industry, we just talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's easy to slip into that.
Yeah. So, who inspires you the most?
Who inspires me? I've got a. Are we talking like? So, are we talking in terms of like?
Design wise, who inspires you to be a good content creator or a good designer?
Okay, so I have in the design side of things, I have a few inspirations that like cover different areas for me. Like, so Aaron Draplin, who I mentioned before, for me, I am inspired by him. Somebody I look up to in the industry. And I'm inspired by his story. I'm inspired by how he became a designer and how he rose as a designer and what he did to do that. Like, I find it incredibly interesting, and it makes me realize that, that sort of hard work and persistence will always pay off, using your head right as well, being kind to others, for example. Because he's like king of merch, man. Like, he's king of merch. He does good logo designs and shit. So I like his work too. In terms of like starting something myself, content creation and design, still there's another guy called Scotty Russell, and he was known as Perspective Collective. I think that's still his company name, but he's actually changed his brand to. It's a cool name, but he's recently changed his name, at least on his socials, to I think it's Coaching by Scotty or something like that, because he became somebody who would release a ton of information and help a load of people when it came to their side hustles. And that's his thing. Like, and he talks to a load of creatives and a load of other people about their side hustles. And that's interesting information. And it's inspiring how he went from being an expert in side hustles and turning his own side hustle into a full-time thing. Now, in terms of artwork, illustration, there's a bunch, but the main ones I can speak for are DGIM Studio, really cool vector illustration company. You've got Lincoln Design Co. They've worked for big brands. They are really cool. And as an individual, there's somebody called Swader, and he does really complex vector and raster, but vector illustrations. And I've taken a lot of inspiration from his work in terms of like the detail I put into mine sometimes, and the way I use my lines and the line work I put in. Like, there's a lot of designers and illustrators like him, like DJIM Studios, that have inspired me to create and led to the style that I have now. You know,
I like your style. You have a unique style.
Appreciate that.
Your eyes.
appreciate that,
If I saw if you put a lineup of illustrations in a row, you know what I mean. I think that
Yeah.
your illustration would stand out to me because of your eyes. And people have a style whether they know it or not. You know what I mean?
That develops as well and
Oh, for
constantly
sure.
evolves. Like people have asked me before, like, you know, how did you find your style? Or like, oh, you know, I'm struggling to find my style, and I'm like, you know, it's just persistence. Like, especially when you are first starting out, go to the people that you're inspired by. And when I say this, I don't mean copy and post as your own, but in your sketchbooks, copy these people's work. Like this isn't your work, like this is just you practicing, but practice by doing that. And like, and eventually when you start drawing your own stuff, you'll find, because you've taken those people's inspiration, and because you've moved away from copying and you're starting to create your own stuff in your sketchbooks, or you know, on your iPad or whatever you're using,
Right.
like you'll find your own style starts to seep in. That's where it starts to develop, and then you can, the more you produce work, the more that will change. Like, and
Practice makes
it might
better. Is that what your term was?
practice makes better,
There
man.
you
That's
go.
what I
Yeah,
say
yeah.
all the time. Practice makes better.
Yeah.
And it will change. You know, my style's changed since I started.
Right.
You know, doing it regularly last year, my style's changed, but you can still tell it's mine because the base elements for that are still there.
Right. The old yoink and twist, said Greg.
Yeah, the old yoink and twist. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard that before, man. I don't know where I've heard that, but I like that. The old yoink and twist.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And it's true. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Not everyone's going to be an innovator, you know,
No.
and it takes time to figure out your style. I don't think I necessarily have a style when it comes to design, like graphic design, because I've done a lot of generic stuff in the days. And I'm completely transparent with my audience and you guys. And I tell you guys that most of the shit I get is from templates, because I worked in an industry where it was copy, copy, copy. I've worked in an industry where it's like, see what this brand is doing, let's do what they're doing. And this is coming straight from the marketing department. And that's fine because it works. You know what I mean? There was a successful million of dollar company are copying each other, you know, even still to this day. I think where my uniqueness and my style comes in is in my photo and video. I think I have a more unique photo style, and I need to find inspiration, to be honest. I haven't done photography in a long time. I'm actually excited because I am taking, my fiance and I are planning our wedding right now. For those of you who don't know, November is coming up fast, and we've been working on finding venues and stuff like that. And I know a few photographers that I might hire for that day, but we have to take engagement photos, right? And I'm not going to hire anyone for that. I'm going to bring a friend, and I'm going to teach them on the spot. And
Awesome.
We're going to go up to a mountain that's about an hour away here. And I'm excited for that. You know what I mean? Because it's been so long since I've truly busted out my camera. I busted my camera out last December and took some family photos and stuff like that. But I forget how much I enjoy being behind the camera. You know, I think that's where my passion lies. And I think I need to find...
do it more, man.
I should. And I should do more editing on... I have imposter syndrome so bad when it comes to photography. So bad,
man. You know, that's a shit. Imposter syndrome is a shit. Like, I get it. Like, I think in general, like most creatives get imposter syndrome. Like, but the worst thing you can do is worry about what other people in that industry are doing, and just do it. Just do it, man. Like, ultimately, it's gonna make you happy.
No, it does. It's true.
You know,
go ahead.
I was going to say, because you're talking about photography, there's actually somebody I follow on Instagram, and he is what's his name? It's like It's Milks or something. It's weird. But basically,
I think I've heard.
I can't find him.
That sounds familiar.
Basically, he's a gamer.
Right.
But all of his content on Instagram is like photos of his desk setup, his computer, him sat at his desk. But the reason he's popular is his photos are just like I think they're beautifully crafted. Like they're just so aesthetically pleasing.
Right.
And the lighting's always right. And the value there for me, like when I look at his posts, and I'm like, how can I possibly recreate something like that in a photograph? Like if it's just a picture of me and my desk, I want my photographs to look that good.
Yeah.
Like, and they do just look, they're just aesthetically pleasing. Like the layout to the lighting to his positioning, like, and that's all he does. It's like It's Milks or something. And he's got sponsors from that because his photographs look good. He's had like obviously product sponsors and you know, it's just like, even that, like, you know, when we were saying before, like, is it entertaining? Is it funny? Is it educational? I would argue that his content is none of those things, like, because he doesn't tell you how he takes those pictures.
Well,
like, he's not.
The value there is the aesthetics. You know what I mean? I think.
What would you? I suppose. It's not entertaining, is it? So it's just what?
Oh, sure it is.
Pleasing?
You're entertained by it. There's something in your brain that goes, zzz, I like that.
Is that entertainment though?
Oh, fuck yeah, it's entertaining. It doesn't have to be funny it's entertaining. You know what I mean? I think there's a broad spectrum of what entertainment is. To me, if it's something in your brain goes, I like this. I watched a video last night before I went to bed. Way too late. I went to bed way too late, like 2 a.m. That was, I think it was the last video. Maybe not. I watched a lot of videos after that. I spent too much time on YouTube. Been watching a lot of. Does anyone know who Donut Operator is?
Not heard of him.
Okay, no. Yeah. If you don't ever heard of him, he was a cop, and he does a lot of current event stuff. But anyway, that's besides the point. Anyway, I watched this brilliant video of how he took stock photos of a mountain, a volcano, a lake, a guy standing in front of the water, and he blended 4 photos into one. And it was fucking amazing, man. Oh my gosh. But that's entertainment, you know. He didn't talk the whole time. He didn't show his face. He didn't talk. Well, at least I don't remember. I think I had the volume really low, but it was composite. Yes. He just took these stock photos from Google and made a composite that was amazing. Absolutely amazing. It was crazy. Cool. Yeah. But yeah, that to me is entertainment. You know what I mean? Entertainment can be such a broad thing.
Yeah, because I'm always, when it comes to entertainment, like if something's visually pleasing, I don't necessarily class it as entertain. I class it as nice. I class it as interesting.
Yeah.
Because like for me, entertainment is like watching something or somebody, usually in video format. You know, like that's generally or like live format. Like generally people.
Well, a podcast can be entertaining, like a audio.
People talking,
audio podcast. Yeah.
People talking. Yeah. So,
yeah.
But a picture. I don't know why. I always class it as like, I love photos. I love seeing well-crafted photographs, but I don't know what it. I guess I just like them. Like, so maybe that is a form of entertainment in itself.
Yeah.
Yes. Like,
who's to say? Who's the Who's the judge of what's entertaining and what's not? You know, I don't know.
Oh, I'm not saying that it's not entertaining. My word for it is probably like different. Like when it comes to a photograph, but I just haven't found it yet. You know?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it is entertaining.
I would say my biggest inspirations have got to be either probably Gary V. Recently, I've always listened to Gary V, but recently I don't know. I just can't. YouTube algorithms kicking in and just suggesting a lot of his shorts to me lately. Peter McKinnon, as always, I love Peter McKinnon.
He's nice.
And Maddie, his assistant, or not his assistant, his friend, you know. Then Devin Nash, when it comes to learning about the business side of Twitch, that dude inspires me, man. I can listen to his voice, you know, for the 4 or 6 hours that he streams. You know what I mean? But no, staying inspired is to me like huge in this industry, and huge in design, huge in content creation, photography, videography. You know, you won't push yourself if you're not inspired, I guess. So
I would argue that could be any industry, but definitely where you're creating something, like
right,
where you are actively creating something. That 100% relies on what mood you're in and whether or not you're inspired to do it. And like, if you're going through a crash, and I can speak from experience that, you know, my inspiration levels, they go up and down, and it's like a roller coaster sometimes. But
yeah,
you know, if I'm on a day where my inspiration levels are low, then I struggle to create. And I think it's important to focus on other tasks that are less creative on those days, so at least you're still trying to get something done. But like when it's up high, you know, I get all sorts of ideas. That can be just as dangerous, because I get all sorts of ideas about things I want to do, and I might start rolling these things out, because this inspiration wave might last like a week or more.
Right, you got to ride that wave for sure.
We're gonna ride the wave, but like, it's like, take YouTube for example. YouTube, I started it. I was loving YouTube. I still love YouTube, but loving it. I was creating content for it. I was squeezing it in, you know, and I was thinking, oh, okay, you know, it's taking me a bit, but I'm squeezing it in. I'm getting the content done. And then I'd say after a month and a half to 2 months, I was like, you know, YouTube's hard. Like, it hit me, and I was like, YouTube's fucking hard. And I was like, and now I don't really want to do it. Like, I'm still gonna do it. Like, I said it on my Twitter. I was like,
I saw your Twitter post. Yeah.
Content. Yeah. I was like, I've not created content for a few weeks now. I was like, but I am gonna try, even if it's just the shorts. I'm gonna try and release content.
I do the same thing, man. I get stuck in TikTok, is what it is. Yeah. Yo, LPD, what's cracking? Also, Mandy, I know that you've been saying that you're going to dump a lot more time into YouTube. Which, here's the thing. I think I love that idea. I think streamers, it's a long game, like we talked about. It's the thing about TikTok is like it's you put little bit of time into it, and you get these massive feedbacks. You know what I mean? Massive. What there's a word I'm trying to think of here. My brain's just like.
Are you talking about the results you get from the work?
Results was the word I was trying to. My brain was like, you put a minimal amount of time with good results. YouTube, tremendous amount of time with minimal results. And that's just all a part of learning YouTube. YouTube is learning their algorithm and learning, you know, I've been learning about tags and titles recently, and it's like it plays a huge role. But it is going to be more beneficial. YouTube will translate into those Twitch follows and stuff like that more than TikTok will. Sometimes, definitely. Not necessarily. I can't say that because most everyone in my Discord, most everyone that's been around my Twitch stream, recent follows on my Twitch stream is because of TikTok. You know, I have grown because of TikTok.
Oh, for sure. But with YouTube being a similar viewing experience, like it's different but similar, because with YouTube you sit and you can watch a video, and you can end up watching a video for half an hour to 40 minutes or whatever, and generally on Twitch, you know, there'll always be some people who stick around the whole stream, like the whole 3 hours, however long you stream. Always be somebody. But most people, they kind of enter, then they might leave, they might come back. It's like the viewing, they drop off, you know, and that happens. And the same happens with YouTube. And I kind of feel like with the videos on YouTube often being longer and more educational, and even sometimes, even when it's entertaining, they're generally longer. Like that translates into the Twitch platform. And I think people, if they find you on YouTube, they've got a good idea. They're probably going to enjoy your Twitch content as well. Whereas with TikTok, with it being such short form content, and it's so quick and snappy and punchy, there's no saying, man, because Twitch is a very different beast in comparison.
Right.
Like it's long form content, you know.
Right.
And
It's
there
instant
for,
gratification, and that's another reason
yes.
you have to build a community, because who's gonna want to watch somebody live that doesn't have a community? You know what I mean? So building a
If people know
community,
you,
back to what I was saying before. Who shows up when you first start streaming? Jim and Bob, because they're playing video games with you, and Mom and Dad, because you posted something on Facebook. So build that community on YouTube and TikTok, and then they'll want to come into your stream and say, "Hey, what's going on? You know, I know you from that platform. Let's talk about your niche. Let's have a conversation about scuba diving or something. I saw you on TikTok. You talk about scuba diving. You know what I mean? Or let's talk about design, or let's talk about X video game you play, or Warcraft, or, you know, there's so many different things, you know?
I actually started on Instagram, and I actually accidentally made a community. Like, and I honestly, like, I on Instagram to begin with, I ran some giveaways. I was running fairly regularly giveaways for the badge designs, all completely targeted at World of Warcraft players. You know, I'm a World of Warcraft player myself. I was doing their characters in badge form, basically designed a badge for them, etc. And I met a lot of people through that. And then when I decided to start live streaming that, I had some of those people come over from Instagram into Twitch with me. And then all of a sudden, you know, I had people asking if they could have a place to hang out, you know, off stream. So, and it all just happened organically. There was no pushing for it. There was no like,
that's the best way. Yeah.
To happen.
Yeah.
And ever since, you know, obviously my content's evolved, my designs have evolved, like, but ultimately the community itself stood pretty strong. So, you know, and I always love hanging out with everybody there, and that's the key thing. Like, you get to know people.
Yeah,
like, that's what's awesome about it. You get to know people.
Oh,
they
for
get
sure.
to know you.
Yeah,
and it's those relationships that you build that are gonna keep you. I would say keep you inspired when it comes to content creation.
For sure, and that's one thing I did want to talk about too. Is one of the things that keeps me inspired are you guys in chat that show up every day. You know what I mean? Greg and Mandy and Jabba and, you know, the usual guys that come and hang out. You know what I mean? I appreciate the feedback from my community. You know what I mean? And communities are a huge inspiration for creators.
Often overlooked. Like, and when I say overlooked, I mean people feel like a community is a thing that's just going to happen. Like, you know, they start a Twitch, and then, you know, a few people are there, and they're like, you know, the communities should grow organically, like, but through, obviously, like, this goes straight back to value. It's like, if you've got value, there's going to be people that gravitate towards that. But, like, don't think of a community as just a quick fix to views. It doesn't work that way. Like, no, community is a great way to build meaningful relationships, friendships with the people who genuinely enjoy your content. Like,
those are the people that are going to be able to make you succeed and do what you want to do. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. 100%.
And you know, unfortunately, you know, you love your community, right? And I think everyone wants to say that they have the best community and blah blah blah, but you know, it's hard. It's easy to like LPD just said, the regulars mean more than we often express. We don't often express 100%. It because as we're growing, we look at our community as analytics, and that's nobody's fault, man. That's just human nature. You're gonna look at your numbers. You're gonna look at your viewers as your analytics, and you almost have to, and you can't blame creators for that. You can't. You know, I think LPD was right. You know, they're often overlooked. And yay for the tavern. There you go. Yeah. We're the crew over here, the Kraken crew. You got the tavern. And you know, I think it's important for creators to often shout out their community because it does get overlooked.
I agree. And one thing that somebody I mentioned this friend of mine, Tom Ross, his name is. Really, he's really focusing on helping people build communities now. This is his niche. He's a community builder. He's helping other people build their communities. And one thing that he says, is too many people, they worry about chasing the next follow, the next person that could find their content.
Most definitely.
They're not focusing enough on the people who are there already.
Yeah.
If you need to focus on the people that are giving you their time.
Right.
And the one thing I always say, at the end of my streams, and I wholeheartedly believe this is important to, like we just said, it's important to register this, is thank people for spending their time with you, even if it's watching your content or if it's hanging out on your stream, even if it's lurking, because time is the one commodity, it's the one thing you do not get back. You know, people can spend money and people can get money back, but time, you don't get that. So like, that's 100% important to appreciate.
Time is the biggest way to support a creator. Yeah. More so on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that time will turn into monetization. But no, but it's important on any platform. You know what I mean? But anyway, I know that you have to get to dinner and start your own stream. So I know I've kept you. I don't want to wear you out too much, but I do want to do a little Q&A if you got time for that. Maybe answer some questions that anybody might have for Luke or myself, or just want to say something right quick before we head out. So yeah, if anyone's got anything, let's hear it. If not, that's okay too. No judgment here. I can't believe they didn't have any questions. This is ridiculous.
I don't know. No, I feel like we went like, when I was looking through like the talking points of the podcast, and I was like, I feel like we hit a lot of it. We did hit a lot of it.
We veered off, but I think that's okay.
We veered off. Yeah.
Always have questions. How much time you got? About a few minutes worth of questions.
Yeah. Always happy to answer.
But that's another thing, you do, every time we do this, every Tuesday it'll get better. You know what I mean? Mm. And I try to keep it to about an hour and a half. We're a little bit over today, but that's okay. You can't think of any at the moment. That's all right.
Definitely veered, but I think that's fine. Like, 'cause I still think we covered some stuff that, I
think a lot of stuff was tied to inspiration. I try to stick to at least the topic.
Definitely. Yeah, especially when it comes to content creation.
Where do you stand on mac and cheese being the same as lasagna? Oh man, this sounds like a tavern topic right here.
I'm not sure if what's.
I don't think it's the same at all. Is there? Mac and cheese is an elbow macaroni. Lasagna is a different pasta entirely. Yeah. One has tomato sauce, the other doesn't. One has they're just totally different. Why? What's the joke behind this?
Some might argue they're basically the same, but
I've never thought about it, to be honest.
It's just stirring the old pot, the old macaroni pot.
You were talking about community creation. What areas do you feel like you would like to improve in creating a community? What areas do I feel like I would like to improve on creating a community? So, I want to help the community. I'll be 100% transparent with you guys. I would like to build, a community on Guilded more than Discord. And I really want Guilded to become more of a popular thing. Because it's visually easier for me to host my free assets on there. I love putting assets out for the community. I like also teaching design. Trust me, if it came down to it, I'd rather teach you how to do something rather than just giving you something. You know what I mean? But I do enjoy giving away free assets. And to also be transparent with you guys, I would like to build a Patreon because I would like to start giving away I like to teach people. I I guess some people might look at that and go, well, he just wants the money or whatever. Half of that is true, yes, but half of it is, also wanting to give people the education to start making their own stream designs and stuff like that. So I would love to build a really strong Guilded community. I love Discord. I love my Discord community. It's all the same people, but I wish my Guilded was more active. So yeah, I guess if I'm trying to build a stronger community, it would be, within those two realms. Because I think that's where communities come together the most, is on Discord and Guilded and stuff like that.
Definitely.
And I think
for our industry, for this particular industry,
yeah,
Guilded and Discord. Discord especially, like, because Guilded's quite new. Like, in the sense when I say it's new, it's still growing. People are still figuring it out, finding it. But like, when it comes to like, so to caveat off of your answer for like community building, things like that, I do feel like if I to personally improve my community building, I very much like Matt said, like I'd like to be able to teach more, and I feel like that's a time thing for me. Like, but also,
and that's why I think Patreon is a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? It helps the creator, and it helps the supporter. It helps two people at once.
Yeah,
and I think Patreon is an amazing platform because of that. But go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
As well. No, you're good. You're good. I say on the top of that as well, I would like to involve my community more in the decisions that are made around the community itself, and like what gets made or what topics we approach. And that is, to be fair, that is something that I have mentioned a few times. That is something I will be incorporating, but I do feel like it's an important factor when it comes to community building. Is if you give your community a platform to speak, then it only strengthens the platform. And I think Discord, like you said, Discord and Guild are the best two. I don't, in just like a follow up of obviously when you said which platforms you feel wish had better tools for building community.
Yeah, that's a great question as well.
I feel Discord, if it implemented more of Guilded's features, nobody would need to move to another platform at all. The other platforms out there, you got your Instagram and you got your Twitter. They're not really community platforms. They're places for people to blow off steam.
They're social. They're
they're social. Yeah,
broader.
And at the end of the day, you've got your what do you call them? Like email marketing, like and things like that. But newsletters, they could be a good community platform. But the problem is with newsletters is you're talking at people rather than having a conversation. So I feel
it's schemy.
Like, to be honest,
it's schemy.
It is.
I have.
Well, no, don't get me wrong. They have their bonuses. Like they do have their pluses. Like you can offer, like if let's say for example you are somebody who releases educational content on YouTube, and you didn't have a Discord set up, for example, then an email newsletter could be the perfect way to let your audience know that you've got a new video out and it's going to help them do this.
This is true. Schemy was a bad choice of words. I am fully admitting my wrong choice of words there. It's not schemy because it's offering value. You're right. It is. It's offering value.
You can use it for whatever. You can use it, and some people will use it for 100% sneaky things, like just 100% marketing without all the value,
I know COVID got the ball rolling for all of this, but is this something you guys see yourselves doing in the long run, like way further down into the future? Yes, 100%. At least for me, is something I plan on making a career out of. So
yeah, me too.
That is why I put as much time into it as I do. But that's a good question. Yeah.
It is a very good question. Yeah. Because I wouldn't have started this unless COVID did happen. But I will say, like, I'm never going to, I don't want to stop doing Twitch, like, or any form of live streaming. Twitch might come and go, know, and like, it might be that YouTube becomes the dominant streaming platform. But the point is, I don't want to stop creating that content because like I said, the tavern community, that happened by accident, but there's no way on earth do I want to give that up, like, ever. Right? No. So that's something I want to continue going. When it comes to the content creation outside of Twitch, I think that's something I do want to do more, but I am, Twitch and Discord and the community and Deadweight Design as a business and service offering. That is where my focus lies, rather than YouTube, for example. YouTube's sort of like saying that's on the backbone of that,
Right.
Whereas you, Matt, I know you're focusing solely on content. Well, not solely, but you do have a more defined focus on the content creation as a whole, like your TikTok, your YouTube,
right,
and your Twitch as well. But
I think that just stems from me wanting to teach people what I've learned. You know what I mean? I don't know what I think. My outline on my brand is to speak on what I know and what I've learned. And I think that's what I'm good at, and I think that's what I'll stick to. Raina also asked, how do you guys deal with positive/negative feedback? Do you want to answer that one real quick first?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. So it depends how it's given to me. Like, you can have positive and negative feedback without a constructive side comment, let's say, is both are equally as useless. And that's not to say I don't like receiving positive comments, and when people do, I am sure to thank them 100%. I'm sure to thank them for the positive comment. But in my mind, I try not to let that dictate, because it's a dopamine hit. If somebody says they like your content, that's a dopamine hit. So I try not to let it dictate what I create or how I'm creating it. But if somebody says, somebody's got a negative comment, that's fine. But in the sense, if they say I don't like this, but this is why, and then I can think, okay, I can, then I can look at it from their perspective, and I can then decide whether or not that's something I want to change and fix or not. It's still down to me at the end of the day, whether you take it on board or not,
Right.
But ultimately, if it's constructive, I'm happy with it. If it's just pure troll, negativity, I'll just delete that shit. I'll just throw it in the bin. Because
out of sight, out of mind. Get it out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
I completely agree. I think that constructive, positive, or negative feedback is much more useful. Positive feedback is a dopamine hit, whether they're constructive or not. You're totally right on that. I think you nailed it up. Yeah. You nailed that answer on the head. As far as my outlook on it too, I recently had a situation where somebody disliked one of my YouTube shorts, another content creator, and they told me why they disliked my YouTube shorts. I don't feel like it was justified, because I clearly state what I'm doing in the video. They thought that it was misleading. I think they gave me a dislike because they thought it was misleading. I said, sorry, you feel that way? I don't think it warranted a dislike from a fellow content creator. You know what I mean? That kind of irritated me. And I'll be honest with you, it irritates me. I would be lying if I said that I ignore it, or, you know what I mean? But it does bother you. But it's all about, part of growing up is learning how to deal with stuff like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed it on the head of what kind of positive and what kind of negative feedback. I think 100%. Learning from your analytics is great. Don't dwell on your analytics. Learn from your analytics. If people are saying they 100%. Like it, keep making that content. If people are saying nothing, don't do that content. You know what I mean? So it's all just... Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Don't dwell.
Yeah.
Learn.
And that's all part of growing up, is not learning how to not dwell on things, Teaching moment, or dismiss it quickly as possible and move on. You can't teach trolls, man. There's no point wasting your breath. Don't waste your breath. You're speaking to a brick wall.
Teaching moment for others.
Yeah.
I mean, so I actually had an experience with a troll on my stream once, and literally, all they did was they came in and they just said, "When are you gonna get good?" And I was like, "Just get the fuck out of here!" I literally, one of my mods, I'm not sure, was it you, Rain? One of my mods just got him kicked and banned, and that was it.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
And that was it. That was it. And forgotten about, because you can't really, you can't teach a troll. They're there to be an arse.
Yeah.
But You were there, were you, Raina? That was hilarious. Like, the thing is, like, you can't. All that you can teach from that, all you can learn from that, is teaching other people how to deal with trolls, and that's just to get them the hell out of there, like, and
yeah,
like, because as soon as you start rising up to them and like, and conversing with them, then they've won. They've got that.
They want the
reaction out of
attention.
you,
They
like,
want the attention, and it's almost that's why I say it's not worth your breath. If somebody comes in my chat, and I've had this scenario before, I got trolled. They did some stupid D's nuts joke on me, and they got me. I didn't even talk about it because they stuck around. They wanted me to talk about it. They want you to have an opinion on what they did. They want a reaction out of you. So just don't even give them the reaction, in my opinion.
100%. 100%.
But anyway, yeah, guys, stay inspired. I hope we were able to inspire some of you guys. I know I'm constantly inspired by Luke and his passions and the way he gets so much work done on stream. Yeah, thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man.
You say that, and then it's like I always, with how much work you get done off stream, and I'm like, how, like, all the free resources you create.
Yeah, I do so much better off stream. I'm like, focus mode, lasers are shooting out of my eyeballs. When I'm on stream, I'm just like, hey guys, what's going on? You guys want to hang out? You know what I mean? But not gonna lie, I have a different opinion. However, totally respect your opinion, and it's how I recommend other people to deal with them. I work in rehabilitation with correctional people, so I spend time even on impossible cases. So it sounds like you have more of a professional background. So maybe you have a better understandings of the psychological side of it. I'm not here to be anyone's parent, teacher, guardian, babysitter, therapist. I know a lot of streamers advocate for that kind of stuff and offer a safe place. You can come to my chat. This is a safe place for sure. I don't allow any sort of negativity in my chat, but I'm not a therapist. I'm not a professional. So if you have a background in that, like you do, LPD, sounds like you would know how to handle those things a lot better than I would. You know what I mean? Whereas I have a short temper. I'll get pissed off. Oh, you motherfucker, get the fuck, and it'll turn into like a popular, clip of fat guy gets mad at troll. You know what I mean? And maybe that's how I gain popularity, but I'll fucking lose my cool. You know what I mean? I don't stay calm. So I try to nip it in the bud as quickly as possible. You know what I mean? So, I think everyone's their own individual. Everyone deals with things differently, but definitely. Anyway, guys, stay inspired. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't give up. That's the whole point of this show. I like to ask a question of content creators I talk to. It's a good question. It is interesting to see how other content creators deal with it, for sure.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you for being here, LPD. I appreciate you, man. Raina, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Bisto, thank you for the 7 months. Great stream. Thanks, guys. This honestly has inspired me to going forward. Yeah, me too. It's inspired me.
Me three.
Yeah, Luke, I know you got a stream starting in what, an hour or
an hour? And I'm
yeah,
gonna have dinner.
Yeah, go have dinner. All right, guys.
Cook those burgers, man.
Right. Anyway, guys, peace, much love. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to catch this, it will be on Spotify. It will be on YouTube. It'll be on Apple Music, stuff like that tomorrow. So, anyway, guys, much love, peace. Enjoy your day, and I will. I'll catch you later.